Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker, what you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, friends, let's get started. Shout out to Goodwill. Yesterday, had a great time, a great event. You guys that came out there to join, I cannot thank you enough. Goodwill is near and dear to me, near and dear to a lot of people. And the fact you guys took the time to show up and make an appearance, thank you. I've got a couple of other times this week for you guys to stop by as well. I cannot wait to hang with you. Ale Emporium tomorrow, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots, and hey, costume up. If I'm going to costume up, you guys are going to costume up, right? And maybe even some bullseye passes to give away for the best costume. Who knows? Maybe tickets or something to give away for the best costume. The legendarily haunted slippery noodle on a Bud Light Blue Friday. We'll have Texans Colts tickets to give away as well. That's coming up on Friday. What a great time of year. We've got everything going on right now. Major League Baseball World Series. Things are even at 2 games apiece. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Pacers back in action. You'll need a form, a sheet, a bio, a release to see some of the names, I'm sure, to kind of soak that up in Dallas coming up later on tonight. Chris Denary, the voice of the Pacers, is going to join us coming up a little bit later on. Hopefully he's good with 5. I did have to switch him around a little bit. I haven't heard back. But we'll try to work Chris in coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. Ian Eagle is on the call with the Colts and the Steelers on Sunday. Friend of the show from CBS, Ian Eagle, is going to join us coming up here at the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour. Kevin Bowen, the latest with the Colts and what's going on there, certainly on injuries and moving forward. And just simply put, conversations about this team being for real. I was talking with Rickard a little bit earlier today, and actually Todd Meyer as well, the executive producer, and I thought this. It still, to me, feels like there's a tad bit of apprehension about completely buying in. Even at 7-1. And what I mean by that is, I see the enthusiasm. I see how excited you are. If I'm going to go ahead and take the pulse of a lot of you fans out there, a lot of that pulse comes from the BullseyeEventGroup.com Colts VIP tailgate. That thing was absolutely slam-packed before that Tennessee game on Sunday. So there is a lot of recognition going on. Make no mistake about it. However, I kind of wonder if everybody is fully involved just yet. Everybody. Does it feel like everybody is on board, or is there still some belief to be hatched here? Some belief to be created? And if so, what are you waiting on? Are you waiting on Sunday in Pittsburgh? You know, what happens after Berlin? A week after that? What happens at Arrowhead after the bye week against Kansas City? We shall get your thoughts on that. I didn't watch a lot of NBA last night. We'll get to watch the Knicks and the Bucks. Yeah, I know. I got the Giannis travel. That was outstanding. You know who was working that game last night? We just had a conversation about him. Outstanding stuff. But this is a time of year where everything is going on, including on the college basketball landscape. Later on tonight, Hinkle, you've got Butler and Indiana State. Let's welcome in. We've got some common threads here, much like I do. And by the way, I did talk to Matthew Graves, the head coach of Indiana State, a little bit earlier today. He is on the mend, and it was great to hear that. But the associate head coach, which now is the interim head coach of our Sycamores, Indiana State and Butler later on tonight, the pride of Monroe County and Edgewood High School. Let's welcome in Mark Schlesinger on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hey, Mark, thank you for the time. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's always good to talk to a neighboring cousin from Kentucky. Good to talk to you.
Did you play for Heck?
I did. He was there my freshman, played with him my freshman year, and then Coach Birch took over and Jay Brown.
Yeah.
So I was very, very blessed. I had some incredible coaches, much like if you go back to all of our upbringings in that time, we had great coaches in Monroe County, and Greene County had some incredible basketball coaches at that time too.
Well, one coach is still in Monroe County, and that's JR, of course, and there have been coaches since then too. There's a common thread. Here's the thing. I've always said this, and I enjoyed my time at Eastern Greene, and I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I always looked at Ron Heklinski in the same manner as which I did my good friend Mark Barnheiser, because I always thought both of these guys challenged you to the highest level to make you better. And I always kind of wanted to play for Heck to see what that felt. He'd have probably ran me out of the program at 5 seconds, to be quite honest with you, Mark. But I always thought that playing for him would be kind of like playing for Mark Barnheiser, where they really do, they push you to the limits. And I've always felt that was a good thing.
It's so much of who I ended up becoming as a coach. That blueprint was ingrained in me as a young kid, and seeing how Coach built our program, rebuilt our program from the ground up when he arrived. And we ran that program. You know, he came from Illinois State, and we ran that program much like a college program in regards to scouting, operations, how we moved, what we did. And it was from, third grade all the way through 12th grade. And you think about just those life lessons of that you learned from him and Coach Barnheiser. And I know people thought you were crazy playing one-on-one full court in the middle of the summer. Yeah. But in the end, those were the things that were the things that really shaped who we are as people and coaches. And, to have him, Jay Brown, Mick Hammett, all these guys that were just so important influences in my life as a young person, that really shaped my coaching personality so much into who I am and who I've been for the last 30 years coaching in college.
Yeah, it's funny, too, and I had good coaches as well when I was in high school, but nobody had ever pushed me like that. And I always felt, Mark, the unfortunate thing is when you come to that realization when you can no longer do anything about it. And that's why I have such a great deal of admiration for guys like that now, because they're living in the moment where they're trying to get that out of you when it actually matters, not when it no longer does. And I do always have that level of regret.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as times change, that challenge becomes more and more unique and different for us as coaches and leaders, and how we go about trying to impact people, not just for the moment, but for 20 or 30 years from now, and have that, hopefully guys that have that same feelings about me and Coach Graves as he and I do about Coach Clark, and you do Barnheiser and Coach Heck.
It's Mark Schlesinger is the coach at Indiana State. The pride of Hart Straight Road in Ellettsville, Indiana, and Edgewood High School is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Are you on the inbound right now to Indy? Are you on the bus?
We are on the bus. Turner Coaches is bringing us to historic Hinkle right now, and what an incredible opportunity. And I'm heartbroken about Coach not being able to be here, but boy, am I grateful that he's healthy and happy, and they caught it, and my friend will be here for a long time after this repair. But what a cool night for our guys to be in one of the crown jewels of college basketball and one of the great basketball venues in our state.
How has this been for you as well? Because the overwhelming concern is for your friend, our friend, Matthew Graves, but your stewardship of this program also has to prevail. How have you balanced both leading up to this point later on tonight?
Well, two things have been tremendous. One, our staff. We've got a really, really close-knit staff where we've been in great alignment. I think Coach had a tremendous blueprint laid out about how we operate, what the culture is, and what the expectation is. And so for me as a former head coach. This is year 30 for me, and I was very, very lucky and blessed to lead programs for 15 years. That we didn't have to reinvent the wheel. We just got to keep it going down the road. And I think we've made a lot of progress and worked super hard. And in the end, for us as a coaching staff, man, we want this thing. When Coach returns, we want to give it, hand it off to him way farther down the road than he ever could have dreamed and imagined it'd be that way. He's got the least amount of stress and can come back, and we're burning on all cylinders.
It's Mark Schlesinger is the coach at Indiana State and Butler later on tonight at 7 o'clock. Do you think you know what you have? Because, I mean, you really don't until you actually get the higher level game competition under your belt here. What do you think, I guess, we'll start right here, that you have right now?
Yeah, tonight will be an interesting thing with the changes in the rules. Like our staffs, we're able to communicate. We'll play a little bit different. We'll play 4 12-minute quarters for us to be able to get 8 more minutes of basketball, kind of give us an opportunity to play some more people, some different combinations, and in front of people. And I think that'll be tremendous. But for us, adding in, we had a good core back, and in this new world we're in, we returned 7 guys. And so to have that nucleus back and add in the pieces we needed, we think we've got much better depth. That's probably going to be the strength of our team. While I can't sit here and say we've got a first-team all-league guy like we did a year ago in Samad Steele, but at this time last year we didn't know that he would be that. But I think our system kind of helped and lended for him to be that way. Coach is an offensive maestro, as you know, and really put him in a lot of great positions. But I do think we shoot the ball very, very well. I think we've got good depth. And I think us matching up against a really big, long, athletic Butler team will be a good challenge for us right from the start.
Hey, Coach, have you received that buy-in? You and obviously Matt and the coaching staff, do you think you've received that buy-in that you've expected to get out of this group so far? And I know it's early in the season, but there are different levels, different junctures in which of the season, you want to get out of your guys. Have you gotten the most out of them to this point to start the season as you expected?
I think we are. I think we're farther along. I think we're a good bit farther along offensively where we thought we'd be. But if you watch us last year, scoring wasn't never our problem. Getting down and being able to get some stops and that. I think we're way farther along defensively. I think our collective buy-in defensively is a lot greater, which has been fun. And I think these guys are a very close-knit group for just coming together in June. They get along. They like each other. And in this new world we're in, just that man, that's a big first hurdle to get over. And to see that and kind of see that synergy between them, it's been a lot of fun, and kind of see them in alignment right off the bat and have a good buy-in, as you said. It's been good to see.
Give us what you want to see later on tonight from your group on both sides.
Yeah, offensive tempo is going to be big. We've prided ourselves at being one of the fastest playing teams in the country year in and year out. And, we want to be able to continue to play at a great tempo, to play an entertaining offensive brand of basketball, and then to be able to see multiple people have successful moments and us to be able to play some different combinations together and kind of see where it falls from there. I think they're looking in the same light of that. But for us, we want to come out and be able to put big numbers of guys out on the floor and kind of get them in the water and see where we can go.
So Mark Schlesinger is the coach of Indiana State. They have Butler coming up later on tonight. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I did talk to Matthew a little bit earlier today, and as I mentioned, this has kind of been very fluid for you, I'm sure. There's a lot you've had to deal with to this point, but it is good to hear his voice. It is good to see that 9 days later, he looks to be on the mend. And as you mentioned earlier, man, they caught that thing early, caught that thing at the right time where you could do something about it.
There's no doubt about it, and it's been a blessing for him and for us. But most important, you think about his mom, dad, and Susan and the girls and everybody, and it just it was a great lesson for people to know that if something doesn't feel right, go get checked out. Don't be stubborn about it. Don't have an ego about it. And we are very, very grateful that he did. And for him to be where he's at right now, he's ahead of the benchmarks that they're putting in front of him, and he'll be back sooner than we think. But right now, we got a job to do, and he was very, very, very direct today when he and I met in person, and he wants us to go to beat the Bulldogs. And that's what we're going to do our best to do today.
It's Mark Schlesinger with us. I did want to ask you, going back to your days at Edgewood, did you often wonder, going through such a stoutly run program, whether it was Heck, and I know in this case it was Heck, or Jeff, did you ever wonder how somebody so soft like Lance Ringler could have ever been created in that environment? How did that happen?
Yeah, you know, it's incredible that, you know, Lance, who would have ever dreamed that Lance, number one, could become the amateur golf rating guru of the world?
He is, isn't he? Yes.
Which is incredible. Like, you know, that guy is the guru of all golf ratings. But, you know, we had such a dynamic group of people in that class, whether it was him and what he's doing, you know, his wife Missy and what she did as a head golf coach. Robbie Smith, one of our other classmates, was a head Division I baseball coach at Ohio University. We've just had lots of guys that have had guys and ladies that have had great success, and I think that's a tribute to our community. And you know, you guys were the same at Eastern, where I think we had a great work ethic and great people around us that kind of led us, and we're very blessed. And it's been awesome for me to be home. I was gone for a long, long, long time, and to be able to be home, to be in one of the great basketball cities in our state, to play in, I think, top 4 basketball venue in the state, in the Midwest, night in and night out when Holman Center. We open those doors and 5,000 to 8,000 people are walking through those doors, and it's rocking and it's fun. And that, you know, I was away a long time, and I love New Orleans, but man, is it good to be back home again in Indiana. Yeah,
I was on the campus of UNO back in 1993 because I was at Indiana State at the time, and I was with the baseball team, and they did a UNO series and then won in Baton Rouge against LSU. So, yeah, I mean, if you can get some things going there at UNO. I mean, there's a lot going on in the Big Easy. There's no doubt about that. But they'll follow you if you're doing things right.
There's no doubt. It's a great city to live in. I'm very blessed. My wife and I were able to adopt 3 kids from there, and it just for it to be a second home for me, and a initial home for them. But it's good to be back in Indiana. For sure. Yeah,
well, it's good to have you. By the way, too, Ellettsville would be Eastern Heights, Owensburg, or Salisbury if not for the Jiffy Treat. You realize that, don't you?
Jiffy Treat and Pizza Pantry, baby. We got it.
I'm telling you what, the Pizza Pantry, people don't understand that, do they, Mark, how legit that is?
No, Pizza Pantry is slept on. Dave Portnoy went through there. I'd love to see what the one slice, one bite challenge score would be. If it's in the 8s, if he isn't in the 8s, there's a problem.
Mark, I'm going to tell you, it always reminds you of, remember when we were in high school and they had pizza bake sales where they made the homemade pizza? That's exactly what it is. And that's an original thing because nobody does it like that other than Pizza Pantry.
Correct. No, it's the ground beef, it's the sausage, all of it. It's unbelievable. If anybody's driving through on 46, you get a chance to stop in and get a piece of Pizza Pantry and get a dessert Jiffy Treat.
If you get go wrong. If you get there at the right time, Pizza Pantry, they got that buffet rolling, and you will never leave. Hey, buddy, it is good to have you on. Continue to do what you're doing and coach it up later on tonight against Butler. It's good to talk with you, too, and we'll do it again very soon, Mark. Thank you for the time.
Appreciate your roll treats.
You got it. Always. The Indiana State University, Mark Schlesinger is the associate head coach. Of course, he's coaching him up as Matthew Graves is on the mend from triple bypass 9 days ago. I did talk with him a little bit earlier. And as I mentioned to Jake in our Love Heating and Air crossover, I said, hey, you want to go ahead and call in today? Of course, that was me. So it's good. He's chilled. But he is in a good spot right now, and incredible to think that 9 days ago he did have a triple bypass. Mark Schlesinger, Indiana State and Butler. By the way, too, Mike Freeman, thank you very much for the invite there tonight. I can't make it this evening, but Butler and Mike and the gang over there are so spectacular, and I want to remind you, Mike, that just because I can't go tonight doesn't mean that I don't want to play some pickup hoop over there. So keep me in mind. Don't shut me out. I do want to play some pickup over there, and that is the plan as the season goes along. But I want to thank Butler and Mike and the gang over there. They are spectacular. Indiana State and Butler coming up later on tonight. Win-Schuler spreadability. We've got four flavors for you. Original, bacon and cheddar, sharp cheddar, jalapeno pepper. We found out yesterday, Neiman's Harvest Market in Carmel, they are stocked up and full for you as well, your favorite Meijer location. Or Gordon's Food Service, the spreadability of Win-Schuler's. Find it elite level snacking with Win-Schuler's today. Kevin Bowen, Chris Denary. Chris is live in Dallas a little bit later on with the Pacers and the Mavericks later on tonight. On the other side, Ian Eagles got the call for CBS. It is Ian in Pittsburgh with the Colts and the Steelers coming up on Sunday. It's Ian Eagle coming up on the other side. We've got stuff to give away, too. Do not go anywhere. The Stream the App, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member today. And then thank me for it, because they always have your back on the open road. We've got that and more on Ian Eagle on the other side. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
No, not on me, man. It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Mark Schlesinger is the head coach at Indiana State, in for the recovering after a triple bypass 9 days ago, Matthew Graves. Mark, podcast that one up. 1075thefan.com. Boomer Esiason yesterday podcast regarding the Colts as well. If you want to check that out, 1075thefan.com. Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots, week 9 tomorrow. We are going to be at the Ale Emporium in Castleton. Costumed up, that is coming up on Friday. The legendarily haunted Slippery Noodle downtown on a Bud Light Blue Friday with Colts-Texans tickets, I believe, to give away. That is on Friday's show, meantime, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Pittsburgh call with the Colts and the Steelers coming up on Sunday. He is a huge friend of this show. Ian Eagle is with us. Hello, Ian. How are you?
Yo, what's up, JMV?
Can you help us sort this out? Because you were such a major voice last spring with this Pacer, this incredible Pacer run in the postseason. Yeah. And now you're a heavy voice in this Colts run so far this season. Which one has been more entertaining to you to this point? Because I think they're both so far special in their own way, but which one kind of stands out to you, if either does?
Yeah, I would say the surprise of the Colts probably resonates a bit more, only because we knew the Pacers would be good. We knew they were well coached. We knew that at the time, Tyrese and his whole persona within the league was growing. So I can't say that it was shocking what took place with the Pacers last year. I knew they would be good, and maybe they were even a little bit better than we thought. Obviously, going to Game 7 of the NBA Finals, you got right to the brink. The Colts, it was such a mystery, and what happens often in the NFL, which you do find out after the fact, but it's hard to put your finger on it before. Sometimes it's just a really good marriage. It's the right coach, the right quarterback, the right system, the right supporting cast, and everything is just clicking right now. And if you were dropped from somewhere, nowhere, close to here, into the NFL season right now and said, hey, you don't know anything, but just watch with the eye test what certain teams are, you would say the Indianapolis Colts have been the most explosive offense in the NFL. Sustained, explosive offense. And I don't think there's anybody that thought that would be the case going into the season.
This is Ian Eagle on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, a card-carrying member, an inhabitant, if you will, of the New York metropolitan area. So if I were to tell you back during one of the 6 years of Daniel Jones in a Giants uniform under center, that he'd be looking like this right now, would you have called me crazy then?
I don't know if I would have called you crazy. I would have told you it probably wasn't going to happen in New York because it just didn't seem to be in the cards there. The first year with Dable, if you remember, they found some things. They were winning close games. They surprised a bunch of people. Jones looked very much the quarterback that they needed him to be. It wasn't above and beyond, but he was winning with their philosophy, and there were some positive things happening there. And then, unfortunately, injuries took place again. They weren't catching breaks the following 2 seasons, and we know what the end result was. We talked to him a couple of weeks ago prior to the Charger game, and he made no bones about it. He's a very humble guy, by the way, and he always was. Even with the Giants, he handled everything in stride. You never saw him off his game when dealing with the media and dealing with an assault of questions. But I think his time in Minnesota really played a big role in seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, seeing Sam Darnold excel with Kevin O'Connell, and seeing that there is life after the disappointment in New York. Darnold with the Jets, Jones with the Giants, high expectations. The crazy part with Daniel Jones to me is that it wasn't his fault that he got taken 6th overall in 2019, that Dave Gettleman saw something in him. and thought he would be perfect for what they were trying to do in their rebuild. It wasn't his fault that the Giants, after his big season with Brian Daboll, paid him the money that he did. Everybody reacted to it. Oh, you can't give him that kind of money, top 10 QB money. Well, he earned it. And it wasn't his fault, by the way, that everything fell apart. He was a part of it, but it wasn't all on him. And now we're seeing that. I really think he is in the perfect spot with the perfect coach and the perfect offense, and good for him. It really has been enjoyable to watch.
Hey, Ian, are we in the midst right now kind of stirring the echoes on former high-level seasons at the running back position that could challenge legitimately for MVP honors? Because it's a rarity, but with Jonathan Taylor this season, it seems beyond legit.
Yeah, you know what's funny, JMV? I find this humorous because it is part of the deal. We love to talk about awards, and it doesn't matter what part of the season it is.
Right.
We just love it. There's something about it, and I fall victim to it as much as anybody else. Literally 3 weeks into the year, if you went back now and saw some reactions from people, it would have been on, he's having an MVP-like year. Like, oh, no, he's had an MVP-like month. But here we are at the midway point, and to answer your question, yes, we are at that point. And I think part of it is that there's no QB that's having the type of year that Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes has had in recent years, and that has opened the door a bit. But it really shouldn't be just that. Jonathan Taylor has been the most valuable player in the NFL through 8 weeks. That's the fact. I don't know how else to say it other than directly. Now, does that keep up? Is there someone that emerges in the second half? I don't know, but it does connect to team results and then personal objectives. And he's checking every single box. And then there's the other part of it. There's that other vibe and feel that you get when someone is just dominating their position. That's what he's doing. So if Adrian Peterson was the last guy to do it at the running back position in 2012, it's time to open our minds up again. And I can tell you that my broadcast partner, J.J. Watt, has believed it now for the last month. He was saying this leading up to our Charger game and wanted to make sure that we were doing our part to indicate what kind of season this man is putting together, whether it's graphically or whether it's something that we cover ourselves. And I would expect more of the same on Sunday.
That is Ian Eagle right there, quoting In Vogue, "Free your mind and the rest will follow," regarding the running back position. That's well done out of you. I did not know that you were a big In Vogue fan growing up. Had no idea.
Yeah, I have a deep bag. JMV.
That's awesome. Ian Eagle is with us. When you look at Pittsburgh, do you look at them more for who they have or who they have and the age that they are?
Yeah.
Because that's the one thing I can't get away from. You have such high-level performing individuals, but a little bit longer in the tooth, as we've noticed.
Yeah, I had them in the season opener, so I remember going through all the notes, and that week one, you're just trying to wrap your brain on the amount of information that's out there, what you think is pertinent, what makes sense, what's digestible for the audience. And I remember a particular note. I don't want to quote the exact number, but it was high. They have the most combined Pro Bowls in the NFL. If you go through their roster, it's the most, or it was the most that were added during the offseason, one or the other. The reality is all the Pro Bowls mean very little when you line up on Sunday and someone else is on the other side and doesn't care about your resume or doesn't care what you did 6 years ago. And unfortunately for the Steelers, just because you put on that uniform doesn't mean you automatically have a top 7 defense in the NFL. And what they have found out the hard way is that teams are not intimidated by them defensively right now. It doesn't mean it can't get better, but it has not stabilized. And there were issues early. They seem to at least solve some of those issues for a few weeks, but they are rearing their ugly head once again. The last couple of weeks have been rough, and that secondary in particular has been exposed. So it all works in concert with one another. They're not getting the pass rush that they normally get, which means that they're asking more of their defensive backs than maybe they have in previous years. And it's gone sideways on them. And now on their schedule is the number one scoring offense in the NFL, the number one total offense in the NFL, and as I witnessed in person, an ultra-confident group. Just talking to the Colts, these are not just numbers on paper. This is real. They believe in what they've got. They believe that they can do this for the entire season, not just a stretch and not just flashes. This is who they think they are. So every team's got to contend with that on a weekly basis. A team that is so synchronized and believes in who they are and what they are. And the proof has been in the pudding.
I'd say you got to take advantage of things when you can. And for the Colts, it is this season. You can think about next year and the year after that later. And we have, I think, going on right now here, Ian, because you paid close attention to this as well, the greatest example here recently is that of the Pacers. Because, look, ever since that 7-minute mark of Game 7 in the first quarter, and it has been nothing but a downhill slide. And they had a long way to fall, considering the heights in which they reached of excitement, certainly last year into the late spring and early summer. And that's why you got to take advantage of things now, because you're not promised anything next year.
Yeah, nothing is guaranteed, JMV, in sports. And then the other part that you realize very quickly, nobody pities you. There's no pity. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
When you're talking about competition, there's nobody around the NBA right now saying, man, too bad the Pacers can't catch a break. They just see it as a potential win on their schedule. And the only way you change that is by going out and proving them wrong. And at this point with the Colts, the role that they're in is so different than what it's been in recent years that it takes an adjustment period sometimes for fans to realize it. I don't know how you felt. You were in it, so you might have felt differently. But leading into the Charger week, everything that I saw, everything that I heard, everything that I read, everything that I sensed was, all right, we're going to find out if the Colts are any good. They got to go to L.A. They already lost in L.A. to the Rams. They got to play this Charger team. And we'll see. We'll see. Man, within the first 20 minutes of the game, you could tell what they were all about. And then what happens? You flip a switch, and that Monday morning, it felt like not a 180 because people were very impressed by the Colts even before the Charger game, but it felt very different in how people around the NFL were reacting. Out of nowhere, you had people coming out of the woodwork. You know what? I think the Colts might be for real. I saw something. Yeah, dude, they're for real. It's no longer a surprise, nice little story. They have the best record in the NFL for a reason.
It's funny you mentioned that, too, because there are still people around here are kind of waiting on things not to look as they have. You know, thinking maybe this is just kind of a specter, if you will, wondering if it's going to be in Pittsburgh or maybe with a long venture to Berlin or, you know, certainly after the bye week when they go to Arrowhead. You're just kind of waiting for this not to be real. But, man, this is like going to Kings Island in Cincinnati. You just got to jump in there and strap it down and hang on for the ride and have a fun ride because it's not been like this forever around here.
Yeah, and I obviously remember the Peyton Manning years, remember them well. It just happened to coincide when I started working in the NFL on CBS. And I do remember that 98 to 99 mental shift. Now, you had the number one overall pick. You figured that this guy was going to figure it out, and eventually he was going to be a player. And it turned out that way. Year 1 to year 2 was a huge jump. I think it was 3 wins to 13 wins, if I remember correctly. And Jim Mora and that group figured out what they were, and everyone blossomed at the same time with the move of Marshall Faulk, drafting Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison becoming a Hall of Fame wide receiver, good tight ends that were a part of this thing, defense that was good enough, you know, that was part of the deal. But if you make that transition in the NFL, you can quickly put the other stuff behind you. And my point now with the Colts, with Shane Steichen and with what is still a young group, the core is young. That's the biggest difference. Normally when a team turns it around, they have switched their core completely, that they've just recognized, hey, we gotta blow it up and redo it. They didn't really do that. So they knew they had good players.
Yeah.
They just had to address certain areas, and then I think the head coach is outstanding.
By the way, he is
a chance to be a really good one.
And you can tell he and the quarterback benefit one another maybe as best as any duo like that we have seen so far this season on that NFL landscape. By the way, I'm getting ripped right now because I get in vogue and not George Clinton in Parliament. My bad.
You somehow... You get shrapnel from trying to make a connection.
I do, buddy. Oh, man. Hey, it's great to have you back on here. Let's do this again soon.
You got it, JMV.
You guys
Always pleasure.
Have a great call, Pittsburgh. Thank you. Ian Eagle on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Always spectacular on this show. Yeah, I should have gone with George Clinton in Parliament. I tried to keep it a little bit more PG. Quick break, we'll come back. Bowen, top of the hour. Denary coming up after 5, live in Dallas. Don't go anywhere. Stuff to give away. AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. I may venture back in there here relatively soon as well. I know James is shocked with that. Just maybe. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Ian Eagle, CBS. Mark Schlesinger, Indiana State University basketball program associate head coach, in for the recovering Matthew Graves. Sycamore's Butler Bulldogs tonight at 7 o'clock. Exhibition play, Hinkle Fieldhouse. And again, a shout-out to Mike Freeman and Butler for being so awesome of trying to get me over in there. I cannot do it tonight, but at some point I will, and I do want to make sure you guys are cool with getting me in there. I want to do a little pickup game action inside Hinkle. So Mike and the gang over there, thank you guys very much. Always top-notch per usual. Indy and number 1 Purdue. An exhibition play later on tonight at 7 o'clock as well. Last night, you saw the Blue Jays even things up at 2 games apiece, best of 7 World Series, a 6-2 decision over the LA Dodgers. Really impressive, to be honest with you. I think more impressive than anything else. By the way, anybody else having flashbacks, or are you my generation? When Shane Bieber was out there, and I know all you're thinking about is like Bieber and Justin Bieber and pitching for the Blue Jays or Tommy John surgery, all that. There is zero way, and I'm going to be so incredibly disappointed if this wasn't you last night watching this and watching him pitch. Did anybody else get flashbacks to the 1984 World Series or to the 80s or maybe even to the Twins in the late 80s? To Jack Morris? Who had Jack Morris flashbacks with Shane Bieber as I did last night? Really, all that he was missing in that Jack Morris type of mustache was like maybe a rogue snot rocket hanging there. I thought, am I watching Jack Morris? Alas, it was not. Same 2 teams, Chavez Ravine later on tonight. I think the Blue Jays can really position themselves. Actually, I think it's incredibly important because we all know that the Dodgers are going to win 1, right? In Toronto when it goes back. But last night, they did assure that this series goes back to Canada. 8 o'clock later on tonight. Man, Jack, that was Jack Morris City right there for me last night. I cannot be the only one. 317-239-1070. That is the text line if you guys want to jump on board with your thoughts on anything. Plus, we'll give you a chance to win something with that text line a little bit later on. Road shows tomorrow and Friday. We'll revisit, too. Also, Colts practice earlier today. Who was MIA? We'll go over that with Kevin Bowen. And that trip to Pittsburgh coming up on Sunday. Kev for the morning show is going to join us on the other side. Chris Denary from Dallas with the Pacers and the Mavericks coming up later on tonight, too. Don't go anywhere. The stream, the app, HD Radio, that AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live, and the text line at 317-239-1070 as well. This is 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Litzy says this, JMV, I actually said to Dad if his mustache was darker, he would be Jack Morris. I'm glad somebody like Litzy is a like-minded thinker. Shane Bieber looked exactly like Jack Morris last night. I know Jack Morris is probably not top of mind to anybody. I respect that. That's what it felt like to me last night. JMV, you were reminiscing about old Ellettsville haunts. Actually, Jiffy Treat's still open. Pizza Pantry's still open in Ellettsville. Mark Schlesinger, the associate head coach of Indiana State and the coach tonight, the exhibition game at Hinkle Fieldhouse versus Butler. Mark joined us on the bus ride over from Terre Haute. I think he joined us somewhere around Putnamville. And we got to reminisce. We have a lot of, I don't know if we've ever met, but we have a lot of mutual friends. And the fact that he brought up me playing one-on-one in 98-degree July humidity in the hyper and having guys asking us to play and we not play because we're playing full court one-on-one and these guys saying, these two dudes over here are insane. That was myself and Mark Barnheiser. Yeah, Brooks' dad. There'd be dudes over on the other court saying, hey, you guys want to play with us? What are you guys doing? These guys are insane. And we'd be yelling at one another, cussing at one another. It was beautiful. Plus, I was always, especially if it were on a Sunday, I'd be so hungover, it was beautiful too. Sweating out all the night before. Ian Eagle, CBS, got the call coming up on Sunday in Pittsburgh with the Colts and the Steelers. Podcast 1075thefan.com. As I mentioned, Mark Schlesinger, Indiana State coach, also a little bit earlier. Boomer Esiason from yesterday as well. But on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, you hear him as a member of the trio on that morning show. Actually, I should say, we could say a little bit more of a quad if you add Dykton into the mix there. Mark Dykton, Jeff Rickard, James Boyd, and Kevin Bowen. And Kevin Bowen's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline right now. Off the top of your head, because Maddie's got a baby on the inbound here, how many baby songs with the word baby in the title can you name?
Oh, gosh. Mariah Carey, Always Be My Baby.
Well done.
There was a Ludacris and Justin Bieber song just called Baby. Hit Me Baby One More Time by Britney Spears.
Well done, buddy. You know how proud of you? You're all grown up. I'm so proud of you right now.
Yeah. Well, Saturday night, 6 to 10, that's all I do. You know, so.
Man, I'm so proud of you right now coming up with that stuff. Whoa.
It might be the proudest moment you've ever had.
Seriously,
me, so.
I am.
That means a lot.
Yeah, it's a hell of a moment right there. Especially when you giggled last week about me hiding Playboys in my grandpa's barn attic, in the barn loft back then. So, yeah, that's awesome. Well done out of you right there. So we're moving closer and closer to the due date, correct?
Indeed, yes. November 10th, the due dates. I believe that's the Monday after the Colts are in Germany. So
yeah,
we are approaching, and it wouldn't shock me if it all happened a little bit earlier than that. That's how Max Bowen was. So we'll see.
So are you going to is it a boy or a girl? Do we know that yet?
Girl.
Okay. So I was going to say if it's a boy, you'd have Hans or Franz if it comes on the Berlin Day. Hans or Franz?
I was thinking Bjorn. Bjorn, you know. Shout out to Bjorn Werner.
I wanted to go to Franz Bowen. You'd be like one of the Wagners right there.
Sure, yeah. Yeah. Mo, you know, Mo. Nothing says German like the old Mo.
Man, name her Nowitzki.
I know. I'm trying to think of like German female names off the top of my head, and I got nothing for you there. So Dirk Bowen would have a hell of a ring to it, I feel like.
Dirk's not bad. That's not bad at all. You know, Maddie Bowen's mortified at this conversation right now.
No, yeah, she wants no German flair, I think, to the name choice here. We're still a little bit uncertain on the girl name. I think we're down to about 4 choices, so we'll have to through that here over the week or so.
And make sure you give James Boyd a shout because we played before the Colts game on Sunday, and he showed up right on time, played with me right to the very end. He's a gamer. He's become a gamer. He's all grown up now, too.
Well, and James and I rode the elevator up on Sunday right before the game, so him and I chatted about the hoopage and a couple of notes from the games.
Yes.
I think games. He noted your ability to stretch the floor was on full display and was critical, I think, in maybe a victory.
Yes.
And then I asked him, if I remember correctly, I think he got a little chirpy with an individual.
He did.
Not on Sunday, but maybe at a prior gathering, and he said that individual was chirping at somebody else this time. So it sounds like you've got a talker in your group.
Hey, here was the best part. There's one point we switched on defense, and when I was guarding, he said, "Put your hands up." James said that to me, and I told him to shut up. Shut up! I got it. I know what I'm doing here. It's not the first time I've ever done this. So no, actually,
neither of that surprises me.
He fits into the group perfectly. He does. Everybody loves him, and he runs, and we try to get up and get out of there, in an hour 45, 2 hours or so, and we play the length, and he does that, and not a lot of griping and pissing and moaning. So he fits perfectly into the group. I'm happy for that.
Well, you probably like these, and he's always been very complimentary to me about the run. You probably like the 4-o'clockers then because it allows you to get a little Sunday hooping.
I do, and I love it too. I don't know what I'm going to do when they go to Berlin. I think I have a pregame show. I wasn't going to be on it, but now I guess I'm going to be on it from 6:30 until 8:30, so I'm going to have to show up a little bit late. But yeah, the 4-o'clock games. Now, my Achilles was swollen, and I limped around in the press box like crazy. That was sore, but man, all else, I love the 4 o'clock starts because it allows me to go play. True.
Jeff Rickard carrying you down the steps to your seat in the press box is a sight that I need to see.
Yeah, just like a little baby. He held me. He held me like a little baby right up there. So that's what happened. All right, practice today. Anybody surprisingly missing anything? Now, normally on these Wednesdays, we kind of, you get adds or additions to maybe a list of injuries you were not aware of prior. Anybody on that list today?
Yeah, I'd say probably the lengthiest Wednesday report. Guys that did not get hurt in the game, or at least didn't leave the game, but were missing today due to injury. Grover Stewart, foot.
Yeah.
Josh Downs, hip.
I'm not surprised by the Grover Stewart thing, let me tell you. So, yeah, we know.
Yeah, I had heard some reports about maybe he in a boot.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, no doubt.
And then Nick Cross shoulder, I think was what the other one was. So, Samson Ebicon, Tycon Lewis, still have yet to see them return to practice. Anthony Gould, their punt kick returner, got hurt in the game. He missed today as well. Certainly thoughts with the family of Matt Gonzalez. He put out on social media his dad passed away, so obviously he was not there due to those reasons. So, again, a lengthier, honestly, a bit typical, I guess, for a team that's played 8 straight games. I would say the Colts, for the most part, have been healthier than most teams around the league this season. So it's a Wednesday injury report, nothing to go too crazy about, but definitely a few more notable names on it than normal.
And, Kev, they've been living right in this world so far this year. So there's really not a lot to complain about, even if it is a little bit more lengthy per usual.
Yes, I would agree with that. I'd say the area they've been living the rightest is the offensive line.
Yeah.
If you look at it, John, they've had that group together for 7 of the 8 games. The one game, ironically, was the loss. That was Matt Gonzalez missing with a toe injury to the Rams. So, you think about that, you add up those 5 guys across the line. I mean, you've had that group intact for 39 of 40 possible starts. I mean, you think back to Ryan Kelly the past few years. You think back to Braden Smith. Even Bernard Ryman's missed a few. The right guard position last year when Will Fries broke his leg. I mean, seemingly every week, and I know Pittsburgh lost the starter for the season on their O-line on Sunday night. They're centered in practice today. Almost every week the Colts are missing, or I should say their opponents are missing, 1 to 2 guys up front. So that's been the area that they have been probably the healthiest, and I think maybe we haven't talked about it enough, but they've really reaped that. I think the O-line's been very, very good.
Yeah, it's Kevin Bowen from the morning show, the Fan Morning Show. That's weekday morning, 7 until 10 a.m. here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I was talking to Ian Eagle about how I view Pittsburgh. I view them with still all the name recognition. And I mean guys that have been elite level in the past. But I also view them as an incredibly older group. It's almost like how we viewed the Brooklyn Nets years ago, if you remember that. I mean, talented guys once upon a time, but you wonder, especially at this point of the season, where they are considering the age of that talent.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think I added up earlier this week of their 53 guys on the roster. I want to say 11 of them are over the age of 30. So, yeah, they are a little bit of, hey, what about this team in the year 2000 kind of feel to it. And like you look at their defense specifically and some of those names defensively, you're like, man, are they really struggling this much when you look at some of their names? But, maybe to use the golf analogy, a few of them are kind of walking up the 18th hole. I actually think Rodgers has been a little bit better. I thought last year against the Colts he was awful when he was with the Jets, but I actually think he's been a little bit better than that this season. I don't think he's, crippled by any means in terms of playing quarterback like we've seen some of these guys in recent years. But, yeah, for those that haven't been paying attention, their defense has just been awful. And, Mike Tomlin's fielding questions this week about, hey, you're going to take over play-calling duties defensively, which is never a good thing. And Shane Steichen has really put up some big point totals against Mike Tomlin. Terrell Austin's their defensive coordinator has put up some big point totals against them each of the last 3 years. So, there are definitely some questions of like, wow, are they really 4-3? And, even at home hasn't been this like unbelievable, fortress, if you will, for them. Seattle won there by 14 earlier in the year. And Green Bay, we obviously saw on Sunday night pulling away late to win by 10. So, I think Colts will go there and take care of business. There are some things that, Pittsburgh does do, well. And, if you let T.J. Watt get some chances, maybe he can wreck a game. And I do think their tight ends at Jalen Warren and, DK Metcalf without Javarius Ward, there are some notable, things to point out there. But they definitely have some major question marks.
Kev, you look at this Colts team right now, and I know there are still some, especially nationally, on the fence. Have they, now at 7-1, as they've done to me, have they proven to you? I just think the record alone is proof, but have they proven to you, especially with their dominance on the offensive side of the football, that they are beyond legit, that seemingly is maybe a point that some out there are still unwilling to completely go with right now?
Yeah, I would add, too, just not their record, just how they've gotten to 7-1. How they've won those 7 games. I know I've said this before, but, they've won 4 games already this season by at least 20. They didn't win a single game by 20 or more in any of the last 3 seasons. You got to go back to 2021, the last time they won 1 game by that margin. They've already done it 4 times this year. So, all the questions that have been presented to them, they have answered. I think there's no debating that. Now, having said that, I think one thing that I was reminded by today when I was out there at practice, and for those that haven't been outside, it's just that spitting rain hovering around 50 degrees. They will play outdoors like 5 of their next 6 games. So just in general, they're going to play away from home. I think they're going to play a little bit better competition. So, that is a change from what they have had. But, I will pick the Colts to beat the Steelers and, probably beat them by 2 scores on Sunday. I just kind of that's how I view it so far. But, again, different challenges, I guess, are on the horizon. But, discrediting what they've done so far at 7-1 and the dominance of the 7 wins and the closeness of the 1 loss, I think that's just, sour grapes.
Kevin Bowen joins us. The impression that offensively Jonathan Taylor has provided, it goes without saying, and certainly he should be a part of any MVP conversation. But I'm curious how you feel. I think, and Rick Venturi and I have had these discussions before too, I just think it's the overall evolution in what he has worked on as a football player and not just a running back that most impressed me with the season he's having. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think as a third down guy, he's definitely, shown some growth. Certainly, having as capable of an offense that comes out and, throws to score early in games is that, his second half numbers are just astonishing. That also, I think, helps him. But I also just think it's as simple as him being healthy. And, I think back to really the whole contract dispute and the nagging ankle injury that he had and, even missed a few games the other year with a thumb. Like, I'd be hard-pressed to find how many starting running backs, with the amount of carries that he has had, go 8 weeks into a season and not show up in the injury report one time. Like, not even miss a practice. I mean, he's nowhere to be found on it. And again, I go back to training camp. I go back, he even, he took carries in the preseason. Like, how many running backs that have accomplished what Jonathan Taylor has in the NFL, play in the preseason? Like, I think that speaks to some of the highlight runs we've seen of when you're that healthy, you can, get to the second level with the 7-yard run, but then can you turn it into more? And when you watch the 80-yard run on Sunday, when you watch, I think one of his best runs of the year was the Denver game week 2, where, they're tackling him in the backfield there in the second half, and he breaks that tackle, rips off 60-yarder. Go to the Tennessee game down there in week 3 when Tyler Warren's that lead fullback, and he breaks a couple tackles in the middle of the field for a touchdown run. I think one of his best runs of the year was the run called back because of the A.D. Mitchell holding penalty against the Rams. Like, those are all runs where, he took a nice gain. Outside of the Denver one, he turned a negative into a positive. But, he turned nice block gains into homers. And to me, I think that's a credit to, yes, perimeter blocking, all that, but it's also credit to just him being healthy and him being able to get to that, next gear quicker than maybe he has in the past.
It's a long season. There's no doubt about that. It was evident a year ago when they were, I think in December, like 5 games under 500 or whatever the Pacers were at the time. And we know how that turned out. We also know what is real here, and there's going to be no Tyrese Halliburton, and Miles Turner is gone. But can you think the Pacers still handle these barrage of injuries to start the season right now and the start they're getting off to, and still be able to be at the competitive playoff-making level that many of us like me expected?
Yeah, I think it's really important for Nembhard to get back pretty quickly. If you believe, what week-to-week lingo means with Benedict Mathurin, I mean, to me, week-to-week is usually multiple weeks. So, maybe you're going to miss him for whatever, let's say the next 8 games, just to throw out a number, if Rick Carlisle's kind of going off of NFL lingo there. Okay, now, whatever, you're about, 10, 15 games in the season, and, everybody at that point should be back, I would assume, besides top. And then, of course, when I say everybody, I know Tyrese is not back for the entire season. That to me is still early enough in the year where you can withstand it. I also think if there is a time to go through such a rash of injuries, I think it's happening at the right time. Early in the season, where I think this is one of your hardest stretches of the entire year, even if you were healthy. You opened up the season with the defending champs, back-to-back Memphis, Minnesota right away. You're going to go out west after you come back here and play Golden State and play the Bucks. To me, the first 10 to 15 games is already really difficult. Well, you might as well just double whammy it with these injuries here. So, I still think they can get it together. It shrinks your margin for error. It makes you probably have to think twice about, how much you're putting on the plates of Aaron Nesmith and Pascal Siakam right now, too, while you're dealing with, all these injury issues. So, before Halloween, I think it's beyond premature to throw up, the white flag and, say you're not even going to be in the play-in mix. But, if this continues deeper into November, things like that, then, your margin for error is going to be real slim when you get into, the new year and beyond.
Yeah, the one thing I brought up yesterday is what you just said, and I completely agree, is the workload for Siakam and Nesmith. Now, it's already weird to see how much isolation basketball they play, and they have to because of their situation with their best players and their scorers. But the workload of those two, and especially in this case, Siakam, that is very troublesome.
Yeah, and if you remember, John, he kind of ran out of gas at the end of last season during the regular season. And I think we were asking, I think he got a few rest days in April, which, for him is not something we had seen. And then it benefited him, I think, greatly once the postseason started. Well, again, if you get in a position this year where maybe you're not able enough to, throw him into some of those rest days, that is a question that, you could have. And obviously, since then he's tacked on 20-some playoff games, and, he's obviously a year older. So yeah, that one more than Neesmith is probably the question. I mentioned Neesmith because, last year he dealt with a little bit of a nagging injury early in the season, and, he fell on Willie Greener, and that sidelined him for whatever that was, kind of a month plus there. So yeah, those are questions that I think you got to answer. What a time for Jarris Walker. I think he is one that now should expect a very consistent clock, and they need him to be a consistent player. So that is one that I think, if there's anybody that could positively impact from this, he would be the one that is probably the clearest to me.
I just can't get out of the fact that I think we're going to be disappointed with that in mind. He hasn't really shown, Kev. Is that fair to say? I mean, even in the very short window of sample size, there's not something there that really says, you know what, this is all of a sudden who this dude can be when needed. Is that fair?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Walker thing is confusing for me because how he was, and, I remember even watching those Houston teams, but I think the thought entering the league was you have more questions about him offensively than you do defensively. And now I would argue it's the reverse of that.
I think he plays stiff as hell. He looks stiff as hell to me. He looks like he's unsure, and he doesn't have anything that's really go-to. And at that level, that concerns me. He just doesn't feel like he has a comfort zone.
Yeah, the go-to, weirdly, is like a spot-up shot, which I think a lot of people have questions about, like, exiting Houston. And again, I think he shot it actually pretty well for those questions. But, I go back to a couple shots. I thought he made a couple tough plays offensively against the Thunder in that opener. He had that reverse layup. He had that shot over Chet, I think in the first overtime maybe. That was big. But, I will say this. I do think, and I know there's been moments where he's gotten some somewhat consistent clock. I mean, if you look at it right now, this dude's about to get major minutes for the next month. I assume, all throughout the Obi thing, and, even if Obi's healthy, you still thought he was going to get a lot of run here. So I think it's a really just golden opportunity. And yeah, I don't know if I'm all the way there with you on it, but I definitely have questions. Like if you said, hey, how do you project Jarris Walker going forward? I don't know if I've got a great answer for you, but I also don't think it's the second coming of, TJ Leaf or something along those lines there. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to grasp for some things to watch for here over the next X amount of weeks. But I think, again, Walker just getting more consistent run, even if it's in a variety of roles, I do think at the very least should be beneficial to the evaluation on him.
Hey, the positive in all this is I have assured the fact that Jarris Walker, with my criticism, will have 30 tonight against Dallas.
Yeah. Huge defensive stop on Cooper Flagley. He'll have 30. Man. Yeah.
Hey,
he'll do all of that.
Our former 33, now number 3. And I should recognize that because he's on the inbound coming up on Monday for that debut with the Bucks for the first time at Gainbridge Fieldhouse against the Pacers. Miles Turner has just shot it horrendously so far. But I will say this. He's not going to see the ball very much. Now, when he sees it, he's going to be wide-ass open, but he doesn't see it very much, and you can tell that he gets frustrated from that. And he's a guy that has to live off of positivity, and I guess it's a good thing they're winning games like they did last night because there's not a lot of positivity going on outside of that for him.
Are you still getting tweets about him? Because right now,
of course.
Your timeline should be blowing up.
Yeah. Oh, I just get it from how I protected him here. Those are just jackasses. But I protect like he needed my protection here. He did. He was a part of a team that went 7 games deep into the NBA Finals last year. So he was a part of maybe the most special team that I've ever witnessed on the basketball floor with the Pacers in mind ever around here this past year. But, everybody wants to see him fail. I don't know would results individually compared to positive results team-wise, would that equate to Miles' failure? How do you view that?
Yeah, I know. That's kind of how it's been so far, right? Aren't they 3-1 and he shot it horrifically? So.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's probably a little bit of truth in both the individual and the team, but yeah, I just with how he has started, John, and what that environment would be like on Monday. Oh boy, I'll be very curious to see how he plays in that. And of course, it's coming off, the finals where he definitely did not contribute at the level the Pacers needed him to in that series, specifically Game 7, but certainly in that series as a whole. So, yeah, it's been seemingly a pretty trying start for him there. And the thing about he'll I don't know, maybe financially though, the Bucks fans probably view him in a different light.
Well, no, and I do have to run here, but the final thing about this, Kev, is even when they won here and he didn't have an individual mid-level, higher-level performance, everybody kind of viewed that as okay. It's when they lose and he doesn't play well is when that situation is going to be magnified. So far it hasn't been because they're winning and everybody is on the back of Giannis. But if that were to ever change, that is when the criticism is really going to hatch, I think, in Milwaukee. All right, my brother, I appreciate it. Shout out to Brad Bowen. Tomorrow, Ale Emporium, Castleton, once again, another chance for him to stop by. Have him bring your Playboys, and I'll store them in my attic.
I think I might be making a stop at the Ale tomorrow.
All right, that's a good idea. Join us, buddy. Join us. The bad influence lives on right here in me. I can't wait.
I will see you tomorrow up there at Castleton.
You got it. Kevin Bowen, The Morning Show, the Fan Morning Show, 7 until 10 a.m. Kev's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Quick break. We'll come back with Chris Denari, top of the hour in Dallas. Pacers in Dallas coming up later on tonight, right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
I fart in your general direction. Your mother was a hamster, and your father smelt of elderberries.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, this is a shout out to Kevin Bowen. Here's a baby song from 1972. Can you identify this baby song for 300? Who's the guy that hosts Jeopardy now? What's his name? I always want to say Alex because that's what everybody says. What's his name?
It's Ken something.
Ken.
Ken Jenkins or
Ken
Jennings?
Jennings is who it is. Ken Jennings, thank you. Oh, the great Mac Davis, who even with that incredible hair got all the chicks. Got all the 70s chicks. And maybe if you've ever seen North Dallas 40 from 1979, that is one of the greatest sports films of all time and maybe the greatest football film ever. The only really odd part of it was Mac Davis was the starting quarterback, and much like Wiley Wiggins and Dazed and Confused as a Little League pitcher or Pony League pitcher, whatever he was, junior high pitcher. Remember Wiley Wiggins? Mitch Kramer? And he was completely unathletic and could not pitch. They had to have a stand-in. Mac Davis, there's zero way Mac Davis ever played quarterback of any kind. None.
He is rocking a hell of a perm right there.
That is straight out of the Prel. You know he sat in somebody's basement with curlers in his hair a ton. Seriously, perms around the mid to early 80s were popular.
My dad had one.
Did he get it done with Prel and have it on his head and smell? You ever smell the perm when somebody got a perm?
No, I have not.
Because my grandma would get, they would go around Owen. When my grandma lived in Owensburg, in town, that everybody, all the women would give each other perms. You talk about stanking up a house.
Pretty potent.
Perms. Is it Prel that does the, who was it that did the, yeah, the perms?
I have no idea.
Yeah, Mac Davis is rocking himself a man perm like crazy. Yeah, I don't know. That was quickly in and then quickly back out again, the perm. You guys could tell me if you guys ever had a grandmother or a mother in particular that ever did or received perms in your house. It stunk up the house for the entire day. The perm. God, I love North Dallas 40. This is going to be something, if you've never seen North Dallas 40, if I'm talking to the younger generation that says, hey, old man, what are you talking about, this 1979 North Dallas 40 stuff? It works today. That works today. So watch it. Outstanding stuff. I don't know what was more unrealistic, though. Mac Davis at quarterback or Nick Nolte as wide receiver. And Nick Nolte's touchdown catch where they thought that it was going to save the game and they ended up missing the extra point. It was not a catch. There's no way that that would be a catch under the rules of today.
Is Nick Nolte rocking the handlebar mustache in this film?
Oh, my, is he ever.
Oh, man.
They're practicing on gym floors, too. You should say they're practicing and tackling, actually tackling on gym floors in that.
So we got a perm and a porn stash in this movie.
Man. Oh, man. This right out of the 70s, man. Have you ever seen North Dallas 40?
I have not, no.
Listen, I'm going to install a steadfast rule now that you have to see that.
I'll get right on it.
Lordy. God, I love North Dallas 40. It was kind of made off of the Dallas Cowboys of the late 60s, early 70s, I think. And the head coach kind of had, you could tell that he was patterned after Tom Landry. Great stuff. North Dallas 40. Zero way that was a catch. Watch that again. Hey, we want to give a shout-out to Marco Andretti, who made the announcement earlier today that he is retiring from motor racing. Marco Andretti officially calling that a career. Kind of like the 80s fad of, they wore very few perms back then, and I have no idea why everybody wanted to do that, but everybody did. There was a point in time when everybody wanted to rock the perm. And I just know this with the grandmother thing. When your grandmother did it, it stunk up the house. You knew it was going on. 100% knew it was happening. Skivvy says, breaking down North Dallas 40 is what we're tuning in for. How about the pool party was outstanding, too. Joe Bob. Mac Davis was awesome, though. Yeah, that is your assignment to watch that. North Dallas 40. 239-1070 is the number. 317-239-1070. That is the text line if you want to jump in there. I think Derek's got some thoughts online, too, regarding the Steelers. Derek, welcome to the show. How are you, sir?
Hey, I'm fabulous. Thanks for having me again.
You got it right.
Hey,
Go ahead.
I want you to look at things. I think that the game Sunday, so in full confession mode here.
Yeah.
Lifelong Hoosier, married into a Steeler family, so converted Steelers fan, casual Colts fan. So with that on the table, that disclosed, I really don't think it matters what the Colts bring to the table on Sunday. I think the Steelers will determine whether or not it's a competitive game, and here's why. When they haven't turned the ball over and when they haven't shot themselves in the foot with penalties, they've performed very well this year. And your perspective, or KB or whoever was talking about Aaron Rodgers, the perspective, he has been better than anyone could expect. But they defensively are horribly coached. And I think in the case of both teams, I want you to think about this. Both teams benefit from being front-running offenses. Like Boswell, who's their kicker, arguably is the best kicker in the NFL. He's been number one or number two for 10 years, and they have vastly underperformed as a franchise for a number of years, and they've made the playoffs for a number of years. Anthony Richardson, to give you some perspective, Colts fans, had his best game of the season last year when they knocked off an undefeated Steeler team at Lucas Oil. And I think the only way this game becomes competitive for Pittsburgh, and again, listen, I'm a huge JT fan, and the fact that Jonathan Taylor's having the year he has is well-deserved. But the team that responds from getting smacked in the mouth in a positive way is going to win the game. Because I would be very curious to see how the Colts respond in that Heinz Field environment to having to be in a competitive game for a while. I just don't think, and I'm a Steelers fan here, it's going to take an effort beyond being good to hang in the game with the Colts as well as the Colts are playing on offense right now. The question is, the only other thing I would tell you, they have a very good offensive coach. Arthur Smith is the real deal. And the creativity that they've had with their offense, given they have limitations, they don't have the depth at wide receiver that the Colts do. And a lot of people thought that the Colts were suffering at the wide receiver position until you just saw how good Daniel Jones has played and thrived. But the Steelers' game plan is going to be simple. They're going to try to take away Jonathan Taylor. They always try to make teams one-dimensional. Tomlin preaches allegedly about stopping the run and then making teams one-dimensional. The problem is when you're talking about their age and things, I don't even think it's the age factor, John. I think it's they are badly coached on the defensive side of things. And Tomlin came to that franchise as a defensive coach, but they just keep getting gashed and gashed and gashed. Yet they have tremendous individual talent on that team. So when you're talking about a cohesive unit that's getting blown up the way they have been, you have to look at more than just the talent. They have a coaching issue on that side
well,
of the ball.
and you can certainly make that argument because you do watch them every week. The thing I have noticed is they just have such name-recognizable defensive talent that seems to be playing subpar. And I do think you can point the finger at the age demographic as well as you are with, just the coaching that they're getting right now. But it normally you look at it, if you look at their depth chart, you go, oh man, look at these guys play, you still, Hayward and Watt and Queen and Slay, and you look at Ramsey, and then you also think about how long they've been around and what they're not doing right now. It seems like it could be, as you mentioned, the coaching, and then certainly these guys are just getting to a point in age where maybe they just can't do it anywhere near they used to. So part of it.
Let me offer you one thought on that. I think you're on to something there, in part. T.J. Watt has been neutralized a little bit, and they've just tried to do the same thing where T.J. Watt tries to be the superior athlete and takes over. Teams, to borrow a Tomlinism, which is a terrible Tomlinism, schematically adjust for the competition, and the Steelers, ironically, haven't adjusted their defensive game plan. Like, I'll give you an example. Look at the fresh take that Lou Amarino has brought to the Colts. Largely the same players with some add-ins like Bynum and the backline people, but largely the same guys. And look at how having a fresh perspective has reinvigorated enormously talented guys like Buckner and Grover Stewart. You're seeing how then Daniel Jones coming in. I know, having been a lifelong listener to your show since you got to the big chair, that how can I put this? Clearly you're not a Ballard fan, but you've respectably given Ballard props for how they're doing this.
Hey, Derek, I do have to run here. I got to get out on a break. But thank you. You can call back in anytime you want. I thought you brought some good points regarding the defense and the way that it's being coached. We'll have more to share, Derek. Call back in some other time because I do have to hit a break here. Sorry about that, Derek. Come back anytime, and thank you for listening. If you're on hold, we'll try to get you as well. Daenerys going to join us from Dallas coming up after 5. We have concert tickets to give away, too, I believe, coming up here, too. And then 2 live shows tomorrow and Friday where you need to costume up on Friday. It's haunted. It's legendary, the Slippery Noodle, and you can win, too, on a Bud Light Blue Friday. Tell you all about it coming up next.
Your brain on drugs. Any questions?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
All right, who wants to go see Everclear, Sponge, and Local H? That is tomorrow, right? That is going to be a really strong 90s alternative show. What do you guys want? You want it on text line or do you want it on the phones here? Let's do phones. 317-239-1070. Number 9 is going to go see Everclear, Sponge, and Local H. Murat Old National Center coming up tomorrow. Enjoy that from me to you. It's my present from me to you. Now, that'll be a good time. Good 90s groups. JMV, I appreciate your acknowledging my 80s pubic perms memorial. You rock. Thank you, Nick. JMV, what was your favorite? Listen, I didn't have a perm in the 1980s. Had I decided to go with the perm, clearly I would have used the best, and that would have been Alberto VO5. Alas, no perm for me. Hey, James, 239-1070. Give me Jim here on line 4 before the top of the hour. Jim, go ahead. How are you?
Hey, JMV, how you doing?
Jim, go ahead.
I do agree with you. The movie Semi-Tough is a very good movie.
Nope, that's North Dallas 40, not Semi-Tough. That's Chris Christopherson.
North Dallas 40. Well,
Okay.
They're both good, but North Dallas 40 is better. Now, wasn't Joe Claiborne in that as well?
She was. The late Joe Claiborne.
And I think Robert Preston was her dad, the big money man.
That was Semi-Tough. Was that Burt Reynolds and Chris Christopherson? Semi-Tough?
I believe it. I could kind of get them confused a little bit. That is a good movie, though.
Yeah.
Wasn't that loosely based off the Oakland Raiders and Stabler and Fred Blitnikoff?
And thank you for the call. It may have been, Jim, but I do know North Dallas 40 was loosely based on late 60s, I think early 70s era. The Don Meredith era, which probably was even before that. The Don Meredith era Cowboys. Thank you, Jim. Quick break. We'll come back. Daenerys, speaking of Dallas, the home of South Fork Ranch, the home of great, by the way, the Mavericks rocked their old school 80s uniforms. I still have a pair of shorts with that big block M and the cowboy hat on it. Pacers Mavericks later on tonight. Chris Daenerys, voice of the Pacers, joins us next.
The Ride with JMV.
And the beat goes on, yeah. And the beat goes on.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, I love it. Well, this sounds weird. Is that from Spotify?
Yeah, it's just the first thing that popped up.
The one on Spotify is weird.
Is it not right?
I think this is like from a cover band doing this. This is not the real Dallas theme song.
I tried.
Shout out to Pam Ewing. That's Victoria Principal. She was the real reason why any of us whatsoever at my age decided to tune in to the episodic drama known as Dallas. Yeah, James got the cover band action right there off of Spotify. Well done. I did not know Nick Nolte played tight end in college. I didn't know that. Shout out to the info right there. Did not know he played tight end in North Dallas 40 is what I brought up a little bit earlier. Text line number 317-239-1070. JMV, I saw the Rams traded a fifth-rounder for the Titans cornerback Roger McCreary. What is the priority for the Colts before the next Tuesday trade deadline? At what cost? I don't happen to think the price tag is that high for you to be jacking around and not doing something about it. Thus, I started holding my breath because I was fairly confident they were going to do something, and I thought if they were going to do something, it was going to be maybe prior to a trip to Pittsburgh and not doing it during the week where you're going to Germany. Or early next week. It doesn't seem like, who am I, right? But at least from what you've seen, it doesn't look like that the price tags out there are very high. Add to it. By the way, JMV, I'm heading to Pittsburgh for the game Sunday. Any ideas on the Colts tailgate? Thank you, Morrissey. It's block by block. Tailgate-wise, I'm not sure over there. I'm sure there are plenty of places in general to tailgate. I know Bullseye does not have one over there. JMV, I had a perm in 1972. Shout out to your perm in 1972. JMV, perms in the 60s and 70s smelled like the EPA needed to call it in. Yes, it did. It would stink up your house. I mean, you knew it. Like, do you have it, like your sense of smell, is there anything, like it is right up there with the weed. It's easily identifiable, right there with weed. You go, wait a minute, that's weed. It's unmistakable. Seriously, the most identifiable smells, if that were a category, it would be right there with weed. Perms. Andy Moore, Automotive Group Hotline. Joining us from Dallas, he is the voice of the Pacers, and no truth to the rumor that he may be a little backup point guard rolling later on tonight for this team. Chris Denari joins us now. Hello, Chris.
Hey, John, I was going to say, are we dating ourselves when I heard that the Dallas theme, the back-to-back Dallas Knots Landing? Are we all the way back in the 80s then?
I'm not trying to be Dr. Correcto right here, but Dallas was followed by Falcon Crest.
Oh, Falcon Crest. That's on a Friday night, if I remember.
Yes, and you are accurate. Dallas Knots Landing was a spinoff of Dallas. Because on Knots Landing, Gary, one of the brothers of the Ewings, he lived on that cul-de-sac that was Knots Landing.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot about Falcon Crest. Yeah.
Falcon Crest. I was big on Victoria Principal. She floated my proverbial boat.
Well, when you mentioned Dallas, I feel like I've been here for a week because we flew in on Sunday night after the game with Minnesota, so we've been here since Sunday night. So we've been here a little bit, and unfortunately the injuries keep mounting. But I looked at it on Sunday night, John. They did what they almost did a year ago when they were undermanned, and had a shot there at the end, but just came up a little short. So, we'll see what happens tonight. You've got two of your remaining starters still available, and they've been really good. I mean, Pascal Siakam putting up some big numbers right now. Aaron Neesmith hit 5 threes the other night. The field goals attempted and 3-point field goals attempted by Neesmith, career highs. That's what he has to go through right now because of what the Pacers are facing.
Yeah, well, and just such a heavy workload for Siakam and Neesmith as well. I will say this, Chris, and I said this from the outset, the thing that is still unmistakable is how hard these dudes play. And it doesn't matter who goes in, that's how hard they play. It may not work to become a win. It may not be ultimately more effective than the other team that certainly has more of their pieces than the Pacers do right now. But again, what is unmistakable with this group is the level of play and how hard they play. And that's evident, I think, whenever we're watching them, especially going through this right now.
Well, no question, and I think Quinn hit on that on Sunday night. There's a standard that this organization has, and it starts at the top, but it's also a Rick Carlisle standard, and that's how they want to play, and they've got to make some adjustments, and they've got to adapt because of the personnel issues that they have right now. But you're never going to question how hard this group plays, and it'll be interesting tonight to see how they meld, because now you're down another key player in Obi Toppin. You've got 5 of your top 7 that are going to sit over there on the sidelines. I said the other night, I looked down at the bench. There were more players in street clothes on the bench than there were in actual uniforms. So, but you're right. I mean, the standard has been set, and no matter who's out there, that's the way they're going to play.
So, Chris Denari, voice of the Pacers and the Mavericks coming up later on tonight. I know Cooper Flagg, the rookie out of Duke, actually got benched, but I think he was battling a bit of an injury. Anthony Davis, are they going to have all hands on deck later on tonight, or will they have some missing pieces?
No, they've still got some missing pieces. Kyrie Irving's out. He's suffered the ACL injury.
Yeah.
Daniel Gafford, one of their centers, has been out. Won't play. I think he's listed as doubtful, and Lively is also listed as doubtful. Cooper Flagg was not on the injury list despite going out of the game the other night. Anthony Davis has put up some big numbers. Max Christie has played well here early for Dallas. But right now, these are the two teams at the bottom in offensive efficiency. The Pacers are 29th and Dallas is 30th. Now, the Pacers are still averaging about 116 points per game, but they just haven't been as efficient as we're used to seeing. And a lot of that's because of the change in personnel.
Yeah, I would agree. I was watching them, they being the Mavericks, play. By the way, they're playing in their 80s retros the other night. Those are great. Absolutely great.
Yeah, those green uniforms are awesome, aren't they?
The big block M with the cowboy hat on it, especially on the shorts. That's outstanding.
Reminds you of when Rolando Blackman played, right?
Yeah, I was waiting for James Donaldson to run out there and throw up some kind of left-handed half hook. It was awesome to watch, though. I don't know if that's what they're rocking later on tonight, but I did notice this. I think one of the reasons about the Pacers' inefficiency offensively, you can understand with all the injuries, and certainly, as you mentioned, Dallas has some guys that are out too. But oftentimes when I watch them play, it's like the D'Angelo Russell effect, because with him the ball sticks so commonly. It is going to be tough to keep up the normal pace because he's a guy that can score, but, man, he is dribbling out a lot of the clock oftentimes to try to find a way to do it.
Yeah, they use him off the bench, and he's been sort of up and down. He had a 20-point game a couple of games ago, and he's had a 1-point game. And so it's been interesting to see the two constants who have been really good for them. Anthony Davis has 4 double-doubles and playing very well at a high level. In fact, at practice yesterday, Rick Carlisle stressed to his team, how well Anthony Davis is playing. And then P.J. Washington, who played in Charlotte for a number of years, is putting some good numbers on the board. What's interesting, John, is, you look at the Pacers, and I thought that the initial 4 games, really the first 12 games are difficult, that even with a healthy roster, opening with Oklahoma City, then the back-to-back Minnesota and Memphis, and then at Dallas was going to be difficult. And it's, proven to be difficult here with an 0-3 start. But Dallas, on the other hand, tonight is their 5th straight home game to open the season. What a pretty favorable schedule, and yet they've only gone 1-3, and they play, I think, 13 or 14 of their first 18 at home. So this is a situation where Dallas has got to put some home wins together because the schedule is really going to flip on them once they get through, October and November.
We really know what's behind this, though, don't we? Don't we? We know what's behind it. I mean, you coach, if you're the NBA, to have them trade their best player, one of the best players in the league, to LA. So you obviously win the lottery and you get a favorable start to the season schedule. It all falls into place here, does it not?
Well, they are very, very fortunate.
Yes, they are.
The five.
I'm sorry. If look how it's worked out for the Pacers so far. You go 7 full games of the NBA Finals. You're right there to win it, and then the 7-minute mark of the first quarter, all hell breaks loose, and your best player goes out. And listen, you didn't get the benefit to a nice schedule to start, we all know how this works out. I'm not going to put words in your mouth. That's me. This is all me, host of the show, saying this right now.
It's all JMV from Greene County.
It is, but give me a break. The only thing that could be worse is you end up getting Josh Tiven later on tonight. Surely not back-to-back games for that dude, right? Please tell me.
I do want to tell you. I know we do not have Josh Tiven tonight. I don't believe he's one of the officials.
Give me anybody but, please.
I did want to say, and you and I visited off air.
Yes.
Last week, and it was very, very cool to have a chance to talk to Brooks Barnhizer and his dad. His dad was the coach at Eastern of Greene County, but he followed my dad at Westfield. So we have that in common. And I think it was his brother that came up to me. I think, and he said, and he said, "Look, I root for the Pacers every game, but the games that they're now going to play against Oklahoma City, and I watch all of the broadcasts." It was pretty cool. That's the part I think that people don't understand. It's the personal relationships that you're able to build in this business, and so that was a real cool moment for me. I've been doing this 20 years, and to see Brooks out there. And then to talk to his brother, who is a huge Pacers fan, except for his brother plays for Oklahoma City now. So
that is
I just wanted to share that. You and I talked about that last week, and it's pretty cool.
That is Braxton Barnhizer, the older brother of Brooks. And again, the apple doesn't fall too far here because these guys have the same unconditional love for the game of basketball and the relentless pursuit of continuing to play no matter what level we're talking about as their father. And what has been cool to see over the years and being a friend and being around Mark Barnhizer is how many on every level, professionally, collegiately, high school-wise, or some 55-year-old jackass that's going to come and play later on tonight and plays 4 days a week. The love instilled in the challenge of playing the game of basketball is what Mark Barnhizer has done and has a profound effect on so many around him. It's cool to see. It really is.
Yeah, and he's got, of course, Lapel, where he played his high school basketball with Jimmy Howe. And I know Lapel very well. When I was at Westfield, we weren't that big. Lapel was a school that we played. And, on the flip side of that is you think about that, game 2 of Brooks Barnhizer's career was against the Pacers last Thursday. And then on Sunday night, I'm in Minneapolis, and Mike Conley is playing like his 1,175th game.
It's incredible.
The most games played by any Indiana high school basketball player in the NBA. So it's pretty cool to see one young man with Indiana roots, his career starting, and then Mike Conley, who has played so many games in his career to represent the state.
Mike Conley's going to go down in history as maybe the most professional player, not in terms of games or minutes played, but one of the real lasting reasons why he's around too is because he is so steady and so professional. And you can tell, no matter the situation, he's there to lead And you can count on him doing that. And coaches and executives can count on him doing that. And we see that at times, especially at that age in so many years. That is a rarity. And Mike Conley has done it like nobody we have seen.
Yeah, and I think that's, says a lot about him. And I think as you focus back on the Pacers, that says a lot about this organization.
Right.
And what the front office has been able to do, and Rick Carlisle and Tyrese Halliburton. And what I find neat is as we're on this road trip, Tyrese is starting to do more and more and more. Again, he's nowhere close to coming back, but it's something that is a positive. The one thing we've always talked about, John, and I think we talked about it during the Pacers playoff run, that you really, really have to enjoy the moments, because it's not guaranteed. And I know this is just a little bit of a blip on the radar, a little bump in the road for the Pacers. And, all they need to do is get a win and have some of these young guys who don't have a lot of experience get some experience. And again, it's a long season. We're only 3 games in. And I'm anxious to see how they respond tonight against the Mavericks.
No, I mentioned that at the outset. They still play the same, and I was watching the other night when Quinn made that reference as well. That's just how they are. That is a part of that particular program, and you can count on that. But the other thing is, in terms of equating or connecting the Pacers between the Colts, that's what I talk about with the Colts right now. Yeah, you're not worried about next year or the year after that. You live in this moment with a team that's 7-1, and you do with this season the ultimate that you can do with this season, because you have no idea how things are going to look this time next year. And you're advantageous with your record. Play off of that and make something worthwhile of this season and worry about next year when the time comes.
No, absolutely. And that's what I think is really neat about where we are in professional sports right now in Indianapolis, is how the 3 teams, the Fever, the Pacers, and the Colts, all are linked. I mean, you see Fever players at Pacers games, Pacers players at Fever games, Colts players, and there's a huge bit of mutual respect between all of these teams and these players. And, listening to Kenny Moore and listening to some of the Colts players that I've listened to, what the Pacers did really reinvigorated some of these guys about what you can do. So it's a really cool moment in Indiana sports. And you throw in what IU football has done, Purdue basketball, Notre Dame going to the national championship game in football. I could go on and on and on. I mean, there are just so many cool stories that for somebody like you who does what you do 3 hours a day, it's something that you can really focus on.
Well, I can tell this, and it's still the same way. My favorite team of all time was that Pacers team of a year ago. I mean, it's just they hit absolutely every mark of the reason why we love sports, and you love to be invested in sports around here. Certainly, every single mark. Now, did they win it all? No, but every single mark of what you admire the most of a team, they hit it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, even though they came up, a game short. You and I'm trying to think, John. Well, we were with you game 6, my wife and I, Oklahoma City game.
Yes.
But I'm thinking one of the great moments that I can think in my career, either as a player or as a broadcaster or as a fan, was sitting in Gainbridge Fieldhouse with my wife for game 6 of the Knicks series and seeing the Pacers win to go to the NBA Finals, and just to see the joy that it brought everybody, not just the organization, but the fans. And that's what you live for. I mean, that's why we're all in this business, is to generate moments like that. And, but at the same point, you have to move on, right? You can't live in the past. You can enjoy the past, but you've got to move on. And that's what this group is trying to do right now.
Mac McClung recently signed. How much clock do you expect him to see tonight?
I would say he will be on the floor in some form because they only have 10 players. They have got 8 guys on the injured list right now, so you have 18 with your 15-man roster and 3 two-way player. So I would have to believe, hearing Rick Carlisle talk about it yesterday, that he's going to see some activity. He's had a huge G League career. He was the Rookie of the Year. He won a championship. He was the MVP. He's won 3 NBA slam dunk championships. In the G League, he's a 20-point-per-game scorer, and he had a 20-point game a few years ago with Philadelphia in one of the 6 NBA games he's played. So my expectation is he's here, he's healthy, and the Pacers are going to need everybody they can have on the floor tonight.
Now, I know you had some days off. Have you had the opportunity to watch a lot of other NBA teams play this early season?
Yeah, and I think it's funny. A lot of teams are picking up full court. I think that it's a copycat league, and they saw how the Pacers played last year. I think teams are going deeper into their bench and using more players because that's the success that both the Pacers and Oklahoma City had last year. So no question about that. The one thing that's interesting is they allowed the game to be more physical last year and didn't call fouls, and now all of a sudden this year they're calling, I think, more fouls. Because I saw free throws are up. I mean, it's each team's averaging about 27 attempts per game, so that's about 54 in a game. So it'll be interesting to see how that's managed the rest of the way.
Well, I mean, I think that's just with the Thunder in mind. But no, seriously, what's funny about that is I watch these games, and I think they're all over the map. I think at some point in the game – they start calling it tight, but at others, for whatever reason, they don't. And we're kind of back to that era where I remember, and you remember as well, to where it's almost like that guys are officiated differently. It's not officiating the game; it's officiating, the offense or the defense of individuals. At least that's what I gather so far. I don't know if that's the officials trying to get used to everything because they're also early on and starting a season too. But I watched all these games because the whole package has been free so far. And it is really, sometimes it doesn't appear to be rhyme nor reason as to the whistles that are going in game to game.
Yeah, I think you said it. I think all parties, as the season starts, you're trying to get used to the way the game is going to be played. And like I said, I think the game is being played more 94 feet than it's probably ever been played in the past because teams, I read John Hollinger in The Athletic had an article, and he talked about that it's a copycat league, and people saw the depth that the Pacers had and how they played, and so more teams are doing that, and so then officials have to officiate 94 feet instead of 47 feet, from half court in. So I think all that at some point works itself out. It's just something to watch. I mean, we're only a few days into the season. What's hard to do, too, from a Pacer standpoint, it's really hard to make a comparison in numbers because the guys that are playing aren't the same that we've seen in the past. So it's a little unfair to say, offensive efficiency is only this because it's a whole different group. But, I just think from an NBA standpoint, it all tends to work itself out as the season rolls on.
Yeah, and, you look at the starts, the Sixers off to a great start. With two dudes that can score. I mean, Edscombe, the rookie, and then Maxey, clearly we know him to be a high-volume scorer, and that's worked out. The Bulls are 3-0, and, they look very early on, first of the week of the season, legit, and then it goes without saying. The Thunder, and you and I both talked about this off the air with the Spurs. I mean, with Wembanyama, this was all expected, but I think it also gets lost in this shuffle just how good some of those pieces around that phenom are in San Antonio.
Well, they have great depth, and, they've missed the playoffs 6 years in a row, so they have a host of high-level number one draft picks, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson, Castle. So they have surrounded Wemby with a lot of talent, and we haven't really even seen De'Aaron Fox yet. So we saw them twice in the preseason. I kept remarking to Quinn, I know they didn't win many games last year, but I think they're going to win a bunch of games this year. And when you've got a guy like Wembanyama who his skill set is unbelievable at 7'4", That's a team that I guess people are surprised that they're 4-0. I am not.
No, shouldn't be. All right, 8 o'clock tonight later on, right?
Yep, 8 o'clock, 8:30 tip from American Airlines Center, and then head home for a 4-game homestand.
I gotcha. Little Halloween party at the Slippery Noodle from me on a Bud Light Blue Friday before that Hawks game. You got to slide by, maybe.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is Halloween, our almost 4-year-old grandson, Archer, he is going to be this, and I got to get a picture of this, he and I, maybe tomorrow night. He is going out as Halloween as Chris Denary.
That's awesome.
My daughter-in-law bought him a blue suit, a white shirt. He's got a blue and gold tie and a headset that he's going to wear. And apparently he is going out as Chris Denary in a Porsche. Now, I don't have a Porsche, but apparently somebody in the neighborhood where they live has one of those little Porsches.
Yeah.
And so I asked him, I said, well, what are you going to be? And he goes, well, I'm going to be a sports car. I'm going to be a Porsche. But now he's going to be Gramps in a Porsche. So I think tomorrow night I'm going to get my blue suit on, go over there and get a picture taken with him because I won't be there on Friday night. Halloween, we have the Hawks are in town for the first NBA Cup game. So it's a Cup game on Friday night. So, yeah, so Archer Denary is going to be Chris Denary for Halloween.
That's outstanding. What a great choice.
Pretty cool. He and I are pretty close, so I'm anxious to see it.
Great choice. All right, Chris, I appreciate it. You and Quinn and JJ and Eddie and everybody have a great broadcast later on tonight.
All right, thanks, John.
So Chris Denary on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I would agree, for those of you that love the NBC coverage so far, you guys watch the Knicks in Milwaukee last night. The NBC coverage, I know it kind of stirs the echoes of greatness for us here, but it is absolutely out of the park, I think, so far. It's been great. Love Tirico and Reggie Miller and Jamal Crawford. Great stuff so far, I think. Quick break. We shall return. You and I the rest of the way at 239-1070. We have tickets to give away and a text line that is rumbling, stumbling, and bumbling right now at 317-239-1070. It is all us rest of the way. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. Now go away.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Saturday, November the 1st, the Mirror, the state of Utah band called The Used. Would you like to be rocking number 9 at 239-1070? Get those tickets. Take those off of our hands. Thank you to our friends, Jimi Hendrix and the gang at Live Nation. I should remind you this. I got from Andy Wilson, a guy that puts me in contact with a lot of these artists that are on the inbound here to Indy. Andy Bell, and the reason why I bring up Andy Bell's name, most notably Andy Bell, the lead singer of one of the best new wave bands of the 1980s, Erasure. That's November the 11th at the Mirage. That is, I don't even think it's sneaky if you're a big fan of new wave 80s music like me, but that is going to be an outstanding show. I actually checked out the set list from a couple of previous shows for Andy Bell. It is great. If you're going to that, you will love it. I think actually Andy Bell had asked to come on the JMV Takeover. I said, yeah, why not? JMV Takeover, Andy Bell. And if you don't know Erasure, that's A Little Respect, Chains of Love, Sometimes. I think they has a cover of Take a Chance on Me. It's good stuff. These tickets, The Used, that is coming up on Saturday, November the 1st. Mirror Old National Center. If you want to rock out with, yeah, that's it for you. The Used, number 9 at 239. 1070 is that number. James, if you become a Dodgers fan, we will have to, what the kids call beef. I don't know if he's a Dodger fan or not. Not sure. JMV, I think kicker is a real concern. It may end up being a legitimate concern. I don't know if it's a legitimate concern right now, but can you see it being that way? I think you probably can. 239-1070 is that number. J-Law is up next today. J-Law, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, JMV.
Poot. That was awesome. Shout out to Mac Davis. Poot. I think I would like to be called Poot forever now. That's good.
That's an awesome nickname.
It is, buddy. Go ahead.
Hey, a couple things. If people have not had a chance to go down to Bloomington to witness game day down at Memorial Stadium,
yes.
We got one more chance. It is absolutely the best time. And I'm very biased, but compared to what it was 3-4 years ago, dude, it's incredibly fun. And
everything's unrecognizable right now, with a good way. You know what I mean? It's unrecognizable, and it just, the experience, the winning, all of it. I didn't think we would ever be here, but we are.
No, and nothing I've noticed is very few visitor fans are buying tickets because IU fans are actually going to the games.
And you don't see pockets of empty seats any longer. So it is all good.
Hey, the other thing was I seen a tweet earlier that moved it by Giannis earlier. This week? Nuts, but that's not.
Travel. Oh, the travel? No, I was going off the Sidney Sweeney evidently eating a hot dog last night at the Dodger game. Did you send me that? Is that real or is that AI?
I don't know. I think it's real
because I had to leave the room when you sent that to me. I had no idea that took place.
Hey, she's a great actress.
Wow. I'm going to tell you what. There may be very few as smokedified on a global level as Sidney Sweeney might be right now. You know?
True. I can see her in an Oscar Mayer commercial soon.
That is global smoke. And I remember just kind of, I was, I don't want to say turned on. That sounds really weird. But that HBO show that she was a part of. I just started watching that. Yeah. And Euphoria. Euphoria, which has got, especially if you have teenage kids, is not the right thing to watch because it'll give you bad dreams, some nightmares. But she was a part of that, and that those pictures you sent me of her, evidently partaking in a snack last night at Dodger Stadium or beyond impressive.
Yes, sir. Well, hey, I'm going to try to get to see you later this week, either tomorrow or Friday.
You got costume that thing up on Friday, would you?
Yeah, I've got something in mind.
Yeah. Get everybody. We got to have a costume contest or something like that on Friday. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds like a plan.
You got it. J-Law right there at 239-1070. Hank is up next. Hello, Hank. How are you?
Hey, JMV. This is Hank from Vanderbilt County. How are you today?
I'm great, Hank. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Just had about my third Busch Light. I just want to tell you that Daniel Jones is the best quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts since Peyton Manning.
Is he really? I would think a lot of people,
yeah.
I think people would, well, I mean, he's putting up numbers. This offense is putting up numbers we've never seen around here. That would include the Manning era. So, yeah.
Well, he ain't no damn quitter. I can tell you that much. He's more like the straw that stirs that larceny and coke. You know what I mean?
You got that right, Hank. What else you got, brother?
No, I got nothing, man. It's rainy. It's cold down here in Vanderbilt County. And I just wanted to call and tell you Daniel Jones is the best player on this Colts team.
Hank, thank you very much. Did he say Vanderburgh County? That's Evansville. I'm trying to figure out who that was. I'm almost thinking I know who that was doing that imitation of southwestern Indiana right there.
I was about to say, it sounded like Larry the Cable Guy right there.
Well, it sounded like the Sky Point, the late great, there was a little Donnie Baker infusion going on there. Yeah. Shout out to Hank. I think I know who Hank was. Isn't it weird? This is where I am in my life, right? I can recognize when somebody does that. Yeah, that's you. Although it sounded so much. It sounded like, is anybody from Center Grove? Anybody out there right now from Center Grove or around Greenwood, Bargersville? I swear that was like Paul Bennett. If you're around the Center Grove football program or ever have been, you know who I'm talking about, Paul B. I swear that was Paul Bennett. Am I right or wrong? Funny. The brother-in-law of the awesome Brandon Ray, by the way. Friend of mine and friend of this show and friend in Hoop. Quite sure that was Paul Bennett. And he'd probably be very, very offended that I thought that sounded like Paul Bennett. We ready? All right, 50 in betting, 50 in dining on the line right now. You guys ready? We do this now Wednesday through Friday as we count down the days of racing going on. And a shout out to our good friend Tony Rins, Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. You guys ready? Well, here it is, the Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day.
No nonsense. Oh, look, this is futile. No, it isn't.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back. Shout out to Brad Howell, milestone. After we go for a little rehab. Hey, Brad, I got to slide by there. I got to have Brad Howell check up my Achilles here. Can you guys see it? Can I show it to you? Does it look swollen right there? Does it look like? Can I put this online? All right. I know we have a lot of doctors, orthopedic surgeons, and those that can you? Oh hell, that's the bottom of my foot right there. Can I do that like accurately? Hold on, James, talk just for a second.
You're gonna have to get pretty flexible to do this.
I don't know if I can get it up that high. That sounds funny. Trying to show you guys via the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. But nah, the moral of the story here, Brad, I got to slide by and have you take a peek at the old Achilles and see what in the world is going wrong. Why is it so inflamed? I'm at peak feeling right now, and the 55-year-old body is not moving alongside with me. Brad Howe laughed about the whole Paul Bennett. I swear Hank sounded exactly like Paul Bennett. Shout out to Paul B. Hey, your winner, Jim McCann, Southern California, the Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. The Family Man was the winning horse, paid $12.60, $2 bet, $2 exacta, $22.50 trifecta. That's $12.70. That is your Harrah's Hoosier Park race of the day. Just one of the greatest dudes of all time, Jim McCann, Southern California. Orange County, California is the winner. I love Jim McCann. Windschuler spreadability. I said yesterday we found that a new location that has housed the spreadability. And every variety. Original, sharp cheddar, bacon and cheddar, and jalapeno pepper. That is Neiman's Harvest Market in Carmel. They have the spreadability, so check it out today. So does Meyer. Gordon's Food Service as well. I saw they had it up in Kroger, but it wasn't there. They did not have a supply. So, Kroger, get on it here. I shouldn't even mention you because you don't advertise on the show, but come on, Kroger. Get the spreadability. Windschuler spreadability for you snacking at an elite level during the fall. Windschuler's. Gutshot says, I know who that sounded like, a dumbass. Not a fan of Hank. See, Fitz says Hank from Vanderburgh County sounds like Gritty's best friend. Hank equals Harley. Frank Lucas says, hearing about Daenerys' grandson Archer, his costume choice to go as his grandpa was pretty awesome. And Bill is at 239-1070 right now. Hello, Billy. How are you, buddy?
JMV doing great, and looking forward to seeing you at the Ale Emporium tomorrow. The Ale could make a serious run of getting into the top 5 of remote broadcast locations.
It is. We're there all the time. Hey, Billy, are you going on Friday too to the Slippery Noodle?
I will be at the Noodle.
Can you? Are you going to dress up? I've got to have a costume contest. It's Halloween, and the reason why we're going to the Noodle is because it's haunted. So I think we got to go all the way on this, buddy. Would you agree?
I agree, and I remember last year's winner, the guy that was dressed up like one of the Lord of the Rings characters, I think it was, and everything. His costume was pretty tough to beat, but yeah, I'll be there.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to it. Hey, I just wanted to say one thing. I couldn't agree more with North Dallas 40 being one of your top favorite sports movies. But on my Mount Rushmore sports movies, The Natural, North Dallas 40, and Hoosiers. And Barbara Hershey was an actress that was in all 3 of those movies.
Really?
She was, of course, Norman Dale's.
Right.
Ended up being with Norman Dale. And in The Natural, she was in the train car when Robert Redford got shot, and had that bullet in him for all those years. But she was the woman that was part of that, as well as being in North Dallas 40s. So, yeah, that's quite a resume builder for sports related movies, I think. So,
yeah, it's funny too because they will tell you. David Anspaugh, the director of Hoosiers, is a friend of mine, and we've talked a number of times about how much he hated directing her and she hated being a part of Hoosiers in 1986.
Yeah, that's the thing. Didn't Gene Hackman think the movie was going to be a flop?
Yeah, he did. Well, there's a point on the bench. Remember they're going through the montage when the Hickory Huskers are coming together and playing well? Remember that? And the music's playing and they're playing well. And there's a shot on the bench where Hopper, you could tell where Hackman says something to Hopper and Hopper starts laughing. Well, David Anspaugh has told us before on prior shows that Hackman in that moment said, I hope you invest well because you're not going to have a career after you made this movie. That's what Hackman says to Hopper at that moment on the bench. So the next time you watch Hoosiers, you can see that and look at it in a completely different light. Because Hackman says, I hope you invested well because you're not going to have any work after we do this movie.
Was that after Dennis Hopper went dry for the first time and everything went to the game?
He had that and Blue Velvet right in there, I think, together, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And also, I'm really rooting for this Mac McClung to come in here and do something. Just like Denari was saying earlier, that he's had quite a distinguished G League career, but he'd also has been in a couple different really good organizations. And if he can stroke the three and he gets out on the break and McConnell gets back in the lineup and you have a second unit where you've got McClung, McConnell, and Obi Toppin, it is going to be showtime.
Well,
showtime
I just hope anybody.
Avenue.
I hope anybody shows up and stays healthy, and they can work through some positivity because these are tough times right now, Billy. Tomorrow at the Ale Costume Contest, Bud Light Blue Friday on Friday at the Slippery Noodle. Okay, buddy?
We'll see you.
Billy. So can you guys costume things up? What about this Daniel on line one before we bail here? Daniel? Are you joining us?
Hey, what's happening?
Hello, Daniel.
Hey, what about them Colts this year?
What about them, Daniel?
Aren't they amazing?
They are.
And hey, that guy that called in yesterday
about
that fair, where was that at?
About that what? Oh,
fair.
about that fair. Yeah. Thank you, Daniel, for the call. That was Matthew. And Matthew called in about that fair in Center Grove. The craft fair. Oh yeah, he did the he did that commercial. It was like 3.5 minutes long. It's Braden, my neighbor, is in studio today learning things. He's got the behind the scenes. He's completely behind the curtain right here with everything that's going on. Shout out to Braden. James, great job out of you. My thanks to Ian Eagle of CBS. Mark Schlesinger, the coach, associate head coach, but coaching up Indiana State and Butler coming up at 7 o'clock later on tonight. Shout out to everybody, Sycamore fans, Bulldog fans at Hinkle Fieldhouse later on tonight. And Chris Denari, Pacers 8:30. Coverage begins right here at 8. Kevin Bowen from the Fan Morning Show as well. Tomorrow, Ale Emporium, Castleton. I got to see everybody there. Remember Friday, costume it up on Halloween with us too. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.